Welcome to CBC Arts. On this week's episode of Exhibitionists, we're swimming with the salmon through an immersive projection. We're exploring the creative and cool communities of the do-it-yourself art scene. We'll meet the street artist remembering Leonard Cohen with an awe-inspiring mural. Actor Connor Jessup tells us about the film that changed his life. And we travel to Borneo with one Canadian filmmaker for a very special screening. Hello and welcome to the Season 3 premiere of CBC Arts Exhibitionists, the only television show dedicated to exploring the stories of artists across Canada. I'm your host, Amanda Parris. I am so excited to be back. We begin with legendary documentary filmmaker Nettie Wild. In the past, Nettie has taken her audiences on ambitious and sometimes dangerous journeys, from the Zapatista movement in Chiapas, Mexico, to an inside look into the first safe injection site in Vancouver. Today, she's combining her passion for the environment with groundbreaking digital technology to take us deep underwater into the salmon migration.
When I went up into the Adams River and saw my first really big migration, it changed my life. I saw in that river this huge primordial heartbeat that really moved me. I just had this sense this has been going on for thousands of years uninterrupted. And if we're careful, it will continue into the future uninterrupted. And at the same time, when I looked down into this massive pulsing heartbeat of solid red, gorgeous fish coming up that river, it was like I was looking at art. And I thought, what can I do with this? How can I bring the heart of this river into the heart of my city? And that was the beginning of Uninterrupted. I think that Uninterrupted is probably, right now in the world, the biggest and most complex projection anywhere on the planet. We have taken images from the natural world and we've projected them onto this bridge. Usually, anytime you see digital projections mapping on buildings, they're using computer-generated images. But we're taking images that are not only from the natural world, they're shot underwater. So we're taking this extraordinary environment and putting it on the bridge. How do we take those images and have those fish swim from this pillar to that ceiling? In the process of doing that, we ended up dealing with computer-generated bridge that then we fed into virtual reality, and we ended up actually editing in virtual reality so we could get a sense of what it was like to be underneath this bridge. My sense is that all of us are really inundated with information. We're overwhelmed. And when you start talking about the environment or global warming, people's eyes glaze over, not because they don't care, but because it's so huge. You don't know where to start. And I think that's where art comes in. I think that it's possible for an art piece to intrigue them with wonder and curiosity and surprise, beauty, poetry, all those things, and pull them in almost despite themselves. And they're just being thrown down this inlet and taken on a ride that they never expected before. And what we're hoping is at the end, that ride will carry them perhaps to checking out our website. And in checking out our website, they will be introduced to this whole host of people who really know what they're talking about when it comes to fish. All that is there for people if they reach for it. And it's art, I think, in these really rhetorical, controversial times that can reach out and grab people who ordinarily would never go to an environmental movie, never go to an environmental meeting, and who never think about fish except to eat them. And that's what art can do.
The Canadian art scene is exploding with talent. It's almost impossible to keep track of all the new artists. So that's why I'm here, to give you a helping hand. Each week, I'm going to introduce you to our exhibitionist in residence and show you snippets of their work throughout the episode. First up is Eli Schawnz.
Hi, my name is Eli Schawnz, and I'm an artist based in Toronto. My practice deals with animation, installation, and sculpture. Today we'll be seeing my film Forest Fortress, which deals with solitary strongholds and spaces. I hope you like what you see, and please check out my website. Thanks.
Do-it-yourself art spaces are in danger of disappearing across North America. Why should you care? Because for artists who are often marginalized from the mainstream, DIY art spaces become the vital places where they find community and express themselves. Right now, our correspondent, April Aliermo, is going to give us an inside peek.
So many of my peers and I have been thriving as artists because of DIY spaces. And with big developers coming into the city, a lot of affordable spaces are being pushed out. So why are some artists resisting? Why are they trying to make spaces work for themselves? We're going to go visit not one, but 2 artist-run spaces to find out why.
So 187 Augusta is a community art space. This space is for women of color, people who are marginalized, catering to the people who needs it, because I need it and my community needs it.
One of the most important things that we do here over at Blank Canvas Gallery is making sure that this space is a conduit for art and culture happening in the city of Toronto. It's a safe space for every person coming from different places in the community, whether BIPOC, POC, artists of diaspora, all walks of life, queer youth. This is a place where you can kind of go out there and present your work and express yourself.
Top of the year, I was barred up. Lock us out, you cannot starve us. Community, look what we brought up.
I can't believe you cut all your hair in front of everybody at your opening.
The whole performance was about how my ancestors were getting cut in their own identities, and being here as like a diaspora person, being an immigrant, and also just as a person being in a new space is like, I always change myself for what people perceive me, and also like every time I do that, I get rid of my own ancestry and my own identity as a Filipina.
Yes, there can be those prestigious galleries out there, but there also needs to be places where, you know, artists can feel safe, artists can feel comfortable, artists can grow.
A lot of people say, like millennials, like us, we're not doing anything in our lives. A lot of people who are millennials really want to move.
You got me too, I think I'm sick, I got your high risk, dive in, let's make a picture bright and vibrant.
I'm a young black man, and I feel like our narrative is sometimes overlooked, and having an opportunity to share stories that people are able to relate to or may not be able to relate to is important to me.
I think with art, it's the ultimate form of decolonization, you know, from every walks of life, doesn't matter where you're from. You're allowing yourself to be completely vulnerable to someone else's perspective, and whether you think about it or not, you're growing.
1, 2, 3. Dead Poets! DJ Ab on the 1s and 2s, let's go.
These places are our home. I've been in different spaces in the past, and I've been, you know, looked at lesser or differently, or like I didn't know what I was talking about, but all I wanted to do was an art show. I always kept in the back of my mind, if I ever have a gallery, if I ran a gallery, if I ran an art space, what would I do differently? And how would I serve my people and my community? And I take that every day with me.
Coming up, we'll meet the artist remembering Leonard Cohen with a 10-story mural. They did it for Bowie in Brixton. They did it for Biggie in Brooklyn. And they did it for Lennon in Liverpool. When musical legends die, artists often pay tribute by immortalizing their images on the walls of the communities that loved them. In honor of Leonard Cohen's birthday, we are traveling to Montreal, where a street artist has created a gigantic mural for this Canadian icon.
Okay, we're gonna go right to the top of it, of the ear. Okay, we're good. My name is Kevin Ledo. I'm a painter based out of Montreal, Canada. And for Mural Festival 2017 this year, I'm doing a pretty large wall, which is a dedication to Leonard Cohen. I've never done a wall this large before, so this is definitely going to be a bit of a crash course. The largest I've painted is actually only 5 stories, and this is about double that.
I've always liked painting people, and I really love trying to capture the subtleties and expression, you know, because the smallest change in a muscle in the face or something, it gives a different meaning. We all read the face really well, so I really like trying to capture, you know, those exact emotions or sentiments that are that we read in faces. So I've always had an interest in portraiture.
I was telling Ben before, I was nodding off during lunchtime on my own in the restaurant. I was like, oh. Thank you.
It's really great for me that I got to paint Leonard Cohen in his own hood. You know, it's an area also, like I'm Portuguese, it's a Portuguese neighborhood. It's where my parents were raised. And it's also, you know, a Jewish neighborhood. And what it means to people, I mean, people really liked him, and I think people are really happy to see, you know, a huge monument to him, because people loved Leonard Cohen, and, you know, some people are even saying in the comments online that they're happy that Leonard Cohen is back. You know, he's back in Montreal.
Here at CBC Arts, we are huge fans of Canadian film. So we created a show to celebrate the Canadian movie-making community. It's called The Filmmakers, and we spent the summer talking with creators, critics, and fans, including this next artist. Connor Jessup is a filmmaker and actor who you'll recognize from his roles in Falling Skies, American Crime, and the film Closet Monster. But before any of that, he was a fan first. So we asked this film lover to tell us about the movie that changed his life. His answer may surprise you.
I'm Connor Jessup, and the film that changed my life was Only Yesterday by Isao Takahata. It's a Studio Ghibli animated film from Japan. It came out in 1991. It's about a 27-year-old girl who's sort of unhappy with her life. She's feeling directionless and lost in the modern world. She lives in the city, and she decides to go back to the country. And on this trip to the country, she is flooded with memories of her 10-year-old self. Through the kind of collection and the accumulation of these random disconnected memories, these tiny moments that add up to this incredibly humane and rich portrait of this 27-year-old woman. And that was something unprecedented in animation. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is when she has a crush on a boy in her class, and she watches him play baseball, and they meet up in an alley after the baseball game. They can barely talk to each other, they're so nervous. They just stand there in silence for a long time. And then after much awkward stuttering, he asks her, and she says, and then he runs off and she runs off. And as she's running away, she runs up into the sky and swims through the clouds. It's one of the few moments I've had in movies of true joy. You get the sense that someone who loves people very much is working very hard for a very long period of time at the details. It's hard to say it without sounding immodest, but that's always been the goal of what I'm trying to do. Not to have to worry about the big and the dramatic and the histrionic, but to build with small blocks and to have that add up to something that's more than the sum of its parts and that paints a human picture.
Coming up, we head to Malaysia, where one Canadian filmmaker is beginning to understand the impact of her work. Imagine working on a documentary for 5 years. You travel across the globe. You learn about communities. You become passionate about the issue. And then the day for the world premiere arrives and you miss it. That's what happened to filmmaker Ashley Young. She missed the big moment to be in the place where it mattered most. Here she is to tell you why.
I originally thought I would make a short film and be here filming with Wu-Tang for a summer, but it grew into a 5-year-long project. My name is Ashley Young. I'm a filmmaker from Calgary, Alberta, but I'm currently based in Montreal. A Time to Swim is a feature documentary filmed here in Malaysia. It follows the Indigenous leader Wu-Tang Urud as he returns home for the first time in 15 years. He was exiled in the 1990s for inciting his group, the Kelabit, to protest the deforestation of the land. So I follow him 25 years later as he returns with his French-Canadian wife and 2 kids and rediscovers what his village is like now. The more I got to know the community, the more I started to care about the issues. I realized that I could do something a little more complex with the storyline. And now I'm back in Malaysia for the 5th time, but this time to show the film to the community.
Yeah, sure.
In Malaysia, you cannot show a film publicly without it going through the Malaysian censorship board. And this board is really sensitive to films that are critical about the government. While A Time to Swim is not the most journalistic, it's more of a personal film. It's not the most activist type film. It still talks about deforestation and the government's involvement in that. So before it had the possibility to get banned, I made sure to come back to Sarawak to show to the participants in private screenings.
When my dad was my age, the only way to get to the village was a week-long boat ride.
The film is soon going to premiere in Canada, in Calgary, my hometown, but I thought it would be more important to show community members here, so I'm actually missing my Canadian premiere to do these community screenings. And the reception has been different in every location. Like, we did a small living room type screening in Kuala Lumpur with just the young urban people, and they were very excited about the film. They felt like it was a call for the young people to get involved, to care more about their culture, to care more about their land, and they had a very enthusiastic and strong response.
Like, after the film, I feel that there's a sense of responsibility to get involved in this movement. Yeah.
For younger generations to see the significance of the land, the Kelabit lands, and how it's being taken over by the government. Yeah, and inspires younger generations to maybe pursue this in the future.
Like with any film, the repercussions are far wider than you can first predict. At least the trailer of the film has had a really strong response on social media. A lot of young people are saying that it has encouraged them to care about their culture, which is something that my main participant, Mu-Tang, would be really happy to hear.
If there's a Canadian artist you think we should showcase, send us a message on Twitter or Facebook. Our handle is @CBC Arts. Thank you for joining me on this whirlwind journey of art and creativity. I'll be back again next week with even more artists, from Nunavut to Corner Brook. Peace.
Awesome. Way to go. Yay! Episode 1, season 3.
So excited.
So we have a whole season to try new things. So what do you want to make happen?
Okay, I've been thinking about this, and I really want to get out in the field. I want to meet artists. I want to interview them.
Yes.
I want to get my hands dirty.
Field pieces.
You know? Yeah,
cool.
Right? What do you want to do?
Me, well, I'm just so inspired by the artists that I just want to be an artist myself because I'm tired of being the quiet one. I'm tired of like holding it in. I just want to be free.
You want to be more free than what you are right now.
That was too much. That was too much.
Just a tad.
Okay.
Maybe just tone it, roll it back.
Hold it down?
Tone it down.
No wonder I'm the quiet one. You're the...